around with me. It was affecting every moment of every interaction I was having with everybody.
Right.
You know, and then I see it in society that women, you know, are not taught to speak their desires. This is a generalization.
Right.
But so in the practice of the work, I let out the fact that I was totally angry and I was disassociated from that. And I was angry because of every time I'd ever been said, like, no, don't speak now, or something like that. And all those lockdowns are our creativity, our vitality, our power, our health. If you're locked down enough, you know, it's my belief that you're going to have physical pains as well.
Well,
so true.
That gets to you. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say it's so true that people are so programmed generally to be so ashamed of their bodies.
Yeah.
We went through so many, have gone through and are still going through so many transitions in this and layers of that. As far as the sexual area and the orgasm, you know, we had a time in our development that we would be able to sit around and in a room and you know, take our clothes off, and generally, and after a while, it got to be just like we were sitting there with our clothes on, just as natural, and talking and visiting and being with each other. And then after a while, we realized, well, you know, you can have just as many covers on your body with your clothes off, as your clothes on, and just like we forgot after a while that we even had our clothes off, you know, or it didn't matter anymore.
Well, Bernadine, talk about the baggage stuff, because they talk about it in terms of ego, or, you know, that, but how do you frame it in terms of baggage?
Well, the longer we're here, the more baggage we can have from the past. And we're about really walking free of all of that, accepting ourselves and moving right now, the person that we are now, and getting in touch with one another. Every person is so fantastic. Every person is different. So there's no need for competition. We need to hear from everybody, who they are. You know, and we're so, you know, what we're all about is bringing about a quality of life that has never been before for humanity, and in that where there is no death, so that nobody dies anymore, you know, and that's a big deal.
And it's what's killing people is their baggage.
Exactly.
Not the time you're here, not how long you're here, the baggage you're carrying is
right. We actually believe it's possible for the human body, the physical body, to live free of death. And I'm experiencing that. It's more and more all the time. The longer I'm here, the better I feel. Instead of the older I'm getting or something. It's not, time doesn't have anything to do with a person, years don't have anything to do with a person's life.
Yes.
It's what we put into that, you know.
I want to, tremendously. I want to clear one thing about our community, about all of us here at Scottsdale. It's not that we don't, you know, it's not about people being physically immortal or believing that they have to be with us. We're about a value of human life. And I think everyone at this table agrees that we have to increase the value of human life. And to me, that's what physical mortality is about. You might say it's the ultimate experience of creative value of human life. Without that, we're going to continuously destroy each other in this world. So that's really what, we don't care what background anybody comes from, where they come from, what race they may be or whatever. We invite them to be involved with us in them wanting to create and be with us and create a value of human life that's never been before. So I think this is a really important thing, and we're also out to unite. That's why we came here to New York, is to find other people, no matter what backgrounds they're coming from, they're also interested in coming together and creating a better world together from no matter where we come from. We can do that together. And I think that's one thing that's missing in this world, is the uniting of all of us that really feel we want to create a value of human life that's never been seen before.
Yeah, we help each other to wake up in a way that we can walk free of what you spoke of, the baggage. You know, there's something about the communication with one another and having that free flow together. And where you're really cared for, where you're held, you're really kept. You're not, you know, not destroyed by opening yourself. You know, that somebody can criticize you or whatever, but there's a real warmth and a caring for one another that comes.
That fits in with what you guys are doing, because you're taking this stuff and you're moving in a way to a collective. Talk about that collective awareness. Once you have this free and open communication, what the Vistar method of communication is doing to evolve this.
Well, I think in our work, we are all sharing a similar goal, which is an opening, looking at the issues which prevent open communication. And I think a human experience on many levels. I mean, we focus on immortality at a spiritual level. Immortality at a spiritual level.
Yeah, okay.
And absolutely, the older we get, the younger we become. I mean, that is an incredible phenomenon, I think, for anyone who's doing any sincere work. You know, people ask you how old you are, and you look at them and you laugh. And you say, what would you like? The age of the universe? What would you like? What's your age? So, but it's very important, I think, to move in a direction of finding this kind of open communication. However we approach it, I mean, because that's essential.
Well, I'll get to. Go ahead, Charles. Go ahead.
One of the areas we have found in emphasizing the physical aspect of immortality is that it takes people out of the ethereal, out of the nebulousness. It's like people have a tendency to have an idea or a feeling that they are a spiritual entity indwelling a physical body, and in that there's a limitation. And because there is this, it's like in the realm of ecology and so forth, it's hard to find people that will really work together to bring about an ecological change, because as long as death is held to be inevitable for the physical body, they're not going to be consistent in this, because something has to get you. They talk about dying a healthy body. You know, there's a lot of nutrients that's happening today and a lot of changes that are going on. But without there being a feeling for one another, they're going to be inconsistent in their wanting to really clean up the planet. And so we are emphasizing the physical immortality aspect of this, that we're not just someone passing through and leaving the place for the maid to clean it up. We are here to bring about a change. First, the human condition. If we don't change the human condition of immortality, I question the reality of the spiritual immortality.
That's a good point. Did you have a comment about that? Because I wanted to just talk about the mystery school understanding where your community tapped into
the eternal now. That's just living in the eternal now, we called it, where you don't, you know, you do get younger, you do age, and they say Moses lived to be 900 years, right?
How did you bring that philosophy into your, you know, collective living, though? How did you work with that?
By our diet, by what we ate, starting with that, the renewing of ourselves, our thoughts, our words create.
What was the mechanism of communication among the group? I mean, how did they?
We had like morning meditation.
I mean, but to bring the group together, was there one thing that brought your whole group into a cohesiveness, in a sense? The father, the spiritual leader of that group. Right. So that's.
But when you live together like that, day after day, year after year, you become really one vibration and energy. You do. So you do come together under an umbrella of a thought and an energy in everything that you do.
That is something you notice, that people start to align vibrationally as we come together. So that then goes back to the next question I had, which might stir a little controversy because it's about opening and shut doors. So when does a community become a cult or a insular group or something open? Do you have a sense?
Well,
like
cult.
Yes.
We would love to debunk cult.
Yeah, please.
You know,
do that.
It's only in America cult has that connotation, especially with the Manson family.
Oh,
ruined it basically for everybody. You know what we started out doing. And I think cult is, if you look it up in the dictionary, it depends on what dictionary.
I know it's got to be a bad word.
It's not really. Cult is basically a community of like-minded people working together for a goal for the betterment of mankind. You know, cult's just another word for tribal, for family, community,
for everything worthwhile.
culture.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, go.
I was just going to say everything worthwhile that ever been created in this country for human beings. including the creation of this country itself, began with a group of people that were dogmatic, you might say, or fanatical about having a new life in some manner or another. And the revolutionists for this country had that feeling, and were actually being prosecuted or persecuted in England for that.
Yeah.
But they came over and started this country, and they were considered, cult. They would have been called cult leaders now. Right. But the reality is, they're the ones that initiated a new freedom.
I guess it's the permeability or the open and shutness of the doors, and how locked in people are to a particular way as seeing only their way.
Well, it's a safety it's a safety until the group gets together enough to where they can open it and expand out.
An interesting thing is, because having heard about the leader, having a leader community, because Ron and I had been with two teachers, and we had two teachers in the past, and the Vistar Foundation is actually, we founded it. But there's a very different sense of leadership for us than the kind of leader Father
Well, that was in the 70s.
Yes.
Now it's everybody.
Yes.
It's moving
So
along.
basically,
Yeah.
everybody's God, everybody's
That's
an
what I'm
elder.
saying. I think it's the evolution. I think that, I don't know, that word cult that went bad,
Right.
because that was, that something happened with leaders and the misuse of that leadership in a very small and some larger areas. But now I know we're very much on discovering and the evolution of how do we get together and without those charismatic leaders who actually held the communities together. And I mean, that was, some of them were wonderful. And so here we are without that now, and I think it's the whole evolution of a leader, of leadership, because it's still there somewhat. There's a hierarchy in our group. There's founders, there's people, just naturally that way. But in a way, it's changing. It's crossing boundaries. It's completely different.
We're all chiefs.
Yeah, and I mean, and of course, I think, in